One cool thing is Google's Project Tango. Had a bit of showing. So they're partnered with Lenovo in a similar way to their like Nexus smartphone range.
Yeah,
they're like partnering with Lenovo to create essentially like a phablet smartphone-y type thing.
A
phablet. I hate that word.
Yeah,
sounds a bit like giblet. But the point of it, so Project Tango obviously is this this camera system that Google have designed to map 3D space, physical space, into digital form, which is, I mean, something that's been done for a long time with stuff like LiDAR, which is like a laser-based like 3D mapping instrument, big and clunky and expensive. Whereas this is like a totally new approach to it. I mean, I think it's just like there's like a stereoscopic camera and a depth sensing camera, and the whole thing's built out of image analysis essentially.
There's two standard cameras which I think would probably act in sync to get a stereo image, and a depth sensing camera. Yeah. So on this. It's a prototype, isn't it? It's not actually.
Yeah, well, they had something when they did a demo of it. I mean, they haven't actually released like details, I don't think, of a full like consumer ready phone. But I reckon that's going to be this year.
Well, no, there is one, isn't there?
I don't know, but they have. So they haven't said. It's not like they haven't released details of this is the phone and this is how big it is. This is how much it's going to cost. They said $500. I think.
I thought there was a picture of it with its like two.
That was the one that they demoed at CES.
Oh, sorry.
Which is like a prototype, and things like the screen size and exactly how big it's going to be, and it's not all nailed down. But they do have like a working phone essentially that does all this stuff.
So tell us exactly what does Project Tango do exactly.
What's its aim? What's its aim?
For people who don't know,
building a digital representation of like the physical environment, like spatial dimensions and movement and stuff like that, objects, rendering that into a digital like graphics environment that then you can things like, so you can like measure distances, and like say you want to do like a DIY or something, you could use your phone to like measure up dimensions of the room and stuff like that.
Yeah, so you can create like a 3D image,
like a geometric
image,
yeah,
as if you were like creating a video game environment almost, just by like filming the room.
Yeah, so like doing like a panoramic or like photosphere thing with this Project Tango won't just give you like a flat image that's stitched together. It will give you like measured depths and sizes of things, and
so
where
you
they're
literally have
objects.
a 3D digital image of your room.
Yeah,
which, like you say, had been previously limited to using things like LiDAR and stuff, which was really expensive.
Yeah, I mean, I do wonder if, because LiDAR's used like in loads of stuff. Like geology, like and film sets, like rendering stuff for CGI and film sets, and like all kinds of shit. And I wonder if this is like actually going to replace that, whether it's actually better and more accurate, and like
it's certainly cheaper.
It's way cheaper.
You can do it on a £500 smartphone. That's ludicrously cheap.
Yeah.
So there's tons of applications that could be used for. Not just so you can use it for, like you're saying, DIY phones and stuff. But I mean, so I think. You think about things like scanning a tunnel, or
like going into like a disaster zone.
Yeah, like disaster zone.
In fact, like any way in which a machine, like a robot or a drone or something, or even an autonomous car, senses its environment.
Yeah,
this has the potential to like fundamentally change that. And move it forward.
Yeah. So like house robots, almost anything, and like disaster robots, like you said, like those big dog robots from Boston
those
Dynamics
things are awesome.
that sort of use in the army, could sense 3D environments or scan 3D environments.
Yeah.
It's going to be super useful for things like VR, which I guess we'll talk about next /now.
Could just
Well, so if you in VR, it's going to be super important to bring in images scanned in 3D and have them actually as a virtual object.
So to kind of like mesh
to
like the virtual world and the real world.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which is something that, for example, HTC are now starting to do a bit, but this is like stepping a massive like step forward from what they're doing. And we'll talk about HTC in just a minute. But,
but you could potentially, so if you wanted to have like a 3D, say like a VR meeting with people at work, you could scan everyone in with the Project Tango, or have like a Tango system that sits in the office. Everyone puts on VR headsets, and you just have like a meeting, and everyone's on like different corners of the world.
And you could like walk around the other side of people, and like they're actually there and stuff. Yeah, that would be cool.
So there's loads of applications for it.
Slap your boss in the face.
Not without actually
world.
doing it.
Yeah.
Virtual slap.
Yeah, although you still get fired for that shit.
Yeah, you probably would. Yeah. So I think that Project Tango is going to be really, really, really important for loads of things. It does depend slightly on how good it is. If it's not great, if it's quite inaccurate, or it drains the battery is probably okay because you could. That will be improved in time anyway. But
yeah.
If it is as sensitive as things like LiDAR, it could potentially change like huge numbers of industries.
Yeah, like revolutionise a lot of things actually.
Well, do you think there's anything that would be particularly useful? We said about DIY for just the consumer. Say, like if you're buying a phone.
Yeah.
Okay, that phone's dead.
Yeah.
You need a new phone. Would you buy a Project Tango phone? Like, what uses do you think you would have for it, just around the house now in your daily life?
I can't really think of because I don't do. I mean, I'm renting. I don't do DIY or anything like that.
No.
Why would I want to like map?
Apart from
the fact that it's cool.
Yeah.
What can I think of that I would do with it? I'm not really much actually. I don't really feel like I have a need for it in my life at the moment.
I'm trying to think if I would apart from for like VR.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Once it's like meshed in with VR applications, that's going to be cool.
Yeah.
But
maybe I'd buy it just on the basis that might be useful for that,
yeah.
And that would be enough to like persuade me to. Because if it's about the same price as you might find all phones have it at some point.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
Well, that's if you know the Dark Knight, the film.
Yeah.
You know the bit. Spoilers. Where he scans every hacks into everything.
Yeah. Everyone's seen this film, so it's fine.
Yeah. No, of course. And basically like builds 3D maps out of like sonar pings kind of all over for the bat vision thing. You could almost do that, like hack into the system where you're using everyone's phones to like build a 3D model of the entire world.
That's insane.
Like, inside
that's
buildings.
Crazy. Like having all of the data from everybody's Project Tango system, or like even just like thousands of people. Like imagine like a whole network of Project Tango systems throughout a whole city that are all like networked together, and you can use that to build up like a 3D map of the entire city, including the interiors of buildings and everything.
That's mental.
That's mental and awesome.
And you could potentially, people could make that without hacking in or stuff. You could opt to make that data public. And so you may end up just scanning the whole world in the sense that people are just allowing it to happen.
Yeah, just gradually you get more and more coverage. It would be a bit like Street View, but like like an order of magnitude more like detailed and more open. To be like the entire world like rendered into a 3D,
which would be super useful for like so many situations with trying to automate things, trying to get household robots, these types of things.
Yeah, and like smart cities and stuff in the future, like where the cities are controlled by like AI systems that manage traffic and deliveries and all that kind of stuff, and it's all like a 3D rendering of the entire city would be super useful for that.
Yeah. That's cool. Just all based
cool.
on like lightweight 3D mapping technology.
Yeah. This is potentially hugely revolutionary actually.
Yeah.
Project Tango.
Yeah, it is.